Trap is M. Night Shyamalan's latest effort at writing and directing a feature film, following Josh Hartnett as loving father Cooper Something as he takes his daughter to see her favourite pop star Lady Raven in concert. The Shyamalan twist, revealed as early as the trailer itself, is not that this pop star is played by none other than M. Night's real-life daughter, but that the entire concert is actually just an elaborate trap to catch a prolific serial killer known as the Butcher, who is actually Josh Hartnett.
I'm like titrating the idea that he's the Butcher through the movie, but I'm not giving you a lot of information, so that format's kind of really interesting. But that's what makes it delicious.
The film becomes all about whether he can escape the arena in this whole situation without his normal life being destroyed in the process. Trap is an expectedly bizarre, at times dumbfounding experience, equally as divisive as any of Shyamalan's most recent releases. His current reputation has nevertheless seen a notable improvement from how he was viewed by most during the period of 2006 to 2015, engaged in a seemingly unbreakable streak of career-ending awful film after career-ending awful film. These days, Shyamalan seems to operate from the one for them, one for me playbook. He either tries too hard only to create something mediocre and boring, or produces a film so stacked with ridiculous narrative choices, logical fallacies, and instances of laughably alien dialogue that it becomes genuinely entertaining for all the wrong reasons. Thankfully, Trap falls into the latter, more incompetent but infinitely more watchable category. The suitably brisk pace and snappy editing provide an admittedly inconsistent momentum, which keeps the film from falling apart entirely, at least until the plot takes us outside of the stadium, and not knowing where else to go, M. Night proceeds to repeat the exact same plot beats 3 or 4 times, as Josh Hartnett repeatedly escapes the most incompetent team of FBI agents ever assembled. Character interaction in Trap is often spontaneous and comedic, to the extent that the film has been interpreted by some as an intentional tongue-in-cheek satire. The dialogue is, for the most part, inauthentic and uninspired, failing to justify this series of plot contrivances and conveniences that make the film feel like a live-action Hitman adaptation. Still, I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy watching Josh Hartnett push a woman down a staircase, somehow befriend a random merch salesman so he can steal his keycard, and lie about his daughter having leukemia to M. Night himself so he can get backstage access to his daughter's concert. Unfortunately, M. Night's track record of performances across his films is so densely populated with oddities that you could mistake the first few minutes of Hartnett's performance as an actor with no control of this material. For once, however, these particular eccentricities felt justifiable, and though he by no means reaches the heights of what James McAvoy was able to achieve in Split, Shyamalan and Josh Hartnett seemingly worked well together. I also don't have an issue with the idea of M. Night casting his daughter, especially given the fact he was allowed to do pretty much whatever he wanted with the rest of his $35 million production budget. I found her music to be entirely inoffensive, and I'm sure she'll have success in that medium, but her acting was a distraction, even in a film composed entirely of distractions. I'm not going to bash her performance specifically, but her father's direction was evidently lacking. For what is supposed to be a stadium or arena with a capacity of 20,000 plus, it rarely feels like there are more than maybe 450 maximum in the entire thing. Cooper can freely walk around, go to the toilet with no queues, go into an unmanned warehouse full of unopened boxes of merch, and even beat the 1 in 20,000 odds of running into someone he knows. Perhaps if more care and attention to detail had been exercised, then the lazy contrivances that make up Cooper's efforts to evade the FBI could more convincingly be justified. Except for the visual components, there is nothing about the arena that feels authentic, only further accentuated by how incredibly convenient everything feels for the serial killer protagonist. It's a difficult case to make that a film with a budget of $35 million could be released with such lazy foundations, but at this point in his career, it genuinely does feel like M. Night has stopped redrafting his screenplays. There are so many small improvements that could have been made in the pre-production stage, whether it's more closely aligning the structure of the narrative and character arcs with their associated themes, or placing more emphasis on the protagonist's methods of tackling key escalations in conflict, so their solution doesn't always feel so effortless. Significant redrafting of the script would have at least allowed this film to begin production from a point of competence, but obviously would have also stripped the film of all charm and ironic entertainment value. Given Shyamalan's propensity for bizarre characterization and simplistic justification of plot holes, I couldn't possibly write off every fundamental issue with the script as examples of legitimate satire, but the film is honestly hilarious, and worth a watch for anyone that enjoys this kind of thing. 3 out of 10.